Tonight, two worlds are on the edge of disaster, one shaken by the raw fury of nature, and the other one ripped apart by the cold precision of human vengeance. Now, in Alaska, the ground has already moved. A 4.6 earthquake, 4.6 on the Richter scale earthquake just rattled through the earth near Mount Spurr, one of America's most dangerous volcanoes, and the experts are warning that the next rumble could be the one that blows the top off. Ash clouds high enough to ground flights across the country, mudslides, avalanches. They're moving faster than a car on the interstate. Yeah, you can't even outrun these mudslides in a car. And yes, the fallout that could blanket an entire city in minutes. And so while all this is unfolding here at home, halfway across the world, Putin's most feared assassination team, men that were trained to operate in the shadows, the ones who thought that they were, hunters, they have been wiped out in a strike that was so bold, it was so surgical that Moscow is now scrambling trying to replace them. The message? No one. And I mean, no one is untouchable. So here's a question that nobody wants to ask. Are these two events completely separate, or are we staring at the fingerprints of something bigger? Was the quake in Alaska just the work of the Pacific Ring of Fire, or could there possibly be a human element, a human hand at play here, pushing nature over the edge? Now, I don't know if this has anything to do with HARP or anything. If you think it's HARP, just type in HARP. If it's something else, let me know, guys. Now, before you're done tonight, we're going to see how both of these stories connect in ways that the headlines will never show you, okay? We're going to be going into hearing the stories that are actually going to connect in ways that the headlines won't show, and you're going to hear theories. I'm talking about the natural cycle to divine warning to underground weapons tests to full-on weather and geological manipulation, and you're gonna have to decide for yourself, hey, which side are you on? So stick with me, guys, because in the next few minutes, I'm gonna reveal why President Trump's team is moving faster than anyone expected to protect American lives at home and keep America's enemies from exploiting these disasters, and why what happened to Putin's operatives, it may be the biggest warning shot yet. If you appreciate the news updates, please hit the like button and subscribe. It means so much to me. So it is August 2025, and I need you to let this sink in here because we are facing two different storms at the exact same time. On the one front, right here in the United States, we're staring at the real possibility of a volcanic eruption that could disrupt millions of lives. It could wreck infrastructure. It could choke our skies with ash. Mount Spurr, Alaska, one of the most dangerous volcanoes in North America, just got a jolt from a 4.6 magnitude earthquake. And if you know your history, you know this is exactly the kind of event that can tip a restless volcano over the edge. But at the same moment, thousands of miles away, Ukraine just pulled off one of the boldest covert strikes of the war, completely wiping out members of Vladimir Putin's most feared assassination team. These were not some low-level operatives. These were the hunters, the specialists sent to eliminate high-value targets, and now they're gone. So two events, different worlds, but the same undertone, instability. And instability changes the rules for nature and for war. So what connects them? And more importantly, why might these stories be far more related than we're being told? Well, we're going to get to that in just a second. But first, let's talk about what just happened in or on American soil. So early yesterday morning, around 10:38 a.m. local time, an earthquake struck near Petersville, Alaska, about 86 miles away from Mount Spurr's summit. It was measured at 4.6 on the Richter scale. But the real story here is the depth, 52 miles below the surface. That's pretty deep. In fact, that's deep enough to spread shaking over a wide area, and it was felt from Anchorage all the way to, it's about 200 reports of shaking pouring into the USGS in just hours. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've never personally experienced an earthquake. Comment down below, drop me a yes or no. Let me know if you've ever experienced an earthquake personally. What does that feel like? And is it as scary as it seems? Because sometimes it doesn't seem too bad, but then other times I'm seeing buildings falling down. So is there a happy medium here? Let me know if you've ever experienced anything like that. And if you have experienced that, let me know where that was. Mount Spurr, they've been under like a low-level unrest situation advisory for months, with small quakes popping off under the volcano. This is a sign that magma is moving. And let's not forget, the last time that Spurr erupted in 1992, it blasted ash nearly 50,000 feet into the atmosphere. It was grounding flights and covering Anchorage in basically a blanket of this gritty dust everywhere. So here's the kicker. USGS scientists, they're warning that when a volcano is already under pressure, a nearby quake can be the final trigger. So right now, we're watching for an increase in gas emissions. We're looking for tremor pattern and surface deformation. In other words, if those all spike, that's when the clock starts ticking toward eruption. Now, if Spurr goes, we could be talking about ash plumes shutting down air travel across the western United States, mud flows and avalanches racing down slopes at over 200 miles an hour, ashfall coating homes, roads, and water supplies across hundreds of miles. Now, here's where it gets even more unsettling. This isn't just geological story, okay? There are whispers, theories, and unanswered questions about why we're seeing these seismic triggers now and why they seem to be lining up with global political flashpoints. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get into those theories in just a moment, but let me just say this. Some are rather chilling because in just a moment, I'm gonna walk you through 4 competing theories about what's really causing these quakes and eruptions, and some of them may point to something way more deliberate than, let's just say, Mother Nature at work, if you understand what I'm saying here. And then, of course, we're going to connect that to what just happened to Putin's assassination team. So let's get into the possibilities. Natural cycle, divine warning, warnings, testing gone wrong, God, or full-on geological manipulation. And I want you to decide which one makes the most sense. Now, Medicare doesn't let you change plans just any old time you feel like it. I mean, you really need to be ready when your window opens. Or if you don't, you could risk being stuck for another year, overpaying, being stuck in a horrible plan. Now, I partner with Chapter because they've helped people like Sharon Bertusik, who was kicked off of Medicaid, find a zero premium, zero medication cost plan that slashed her copay from $89 to $20. Now that's a big deal. Ed, on the other hand, he's 84 years young. He's now saving $684 a year on a fixed income. These are real savings from just one phone call. I mean, I can't even make this stuff up, guys. So do not miss your chance. Call for yourself. Call for your neighbor if your neighbor is over 64. Call for your friend at church, your mom, if your mom or dad is over 65. A lot of people don't know about this, but this could be a blessing in disguise. So give our friends at Chapter a call right now. Phone number's down below, 909-563-8279, or visit them at askchapter.org/Ron before your window closes. Okay, here's where the story gets really, really uncomfortable, because if you look at the official line, the experts are saying that this is all just part of the Pacific Ring of Fire's natural cycle. Tectonic plates shift, pressure builds, quakes happen, volcanoes blow. Yeah, okay, sure. That's the clean, simple version. But if you talk to enough locals, if you dig into enough chatter from the science community, you're going to hear 3 other possibilities. Each one of these are a little bit more controversial than the last. So let's just talk about the first one first, okay? Theory number 1. This is a divine warning. How many of you guys think it's this one, okay? You've heard it from pastors, from ministers, preachers, from believers, from people who see signs in the sky that God is sending a wake-up call, not just to Alaska, not just to America, but to the whole world. And some point to the timing, the disasters, and the political chaos is colliding as proof that this isn't just random. Okay. Theory number 2, this was underground nuclear testing gone wrong. Now, the theory here is that a hostile power, possibly Russia, possibly China, maybe they're conducting some tests that are deep under the ocean floor or even beneath remote land masses, and the energy released disturbs the fault lines, setting off earthquakes in sensitive zones like Alaska. Theory number 3, and let me know if you guys are thinking it's theory number 2. Now, theory number 3, weather and geological manipulation. Now, this is where you hear about the classified programs, these high frequency transmitters, makes me think of the HARP system, and energy weapons designed to disrupt the atmosphere and even the crust of the earth itself. The goal is to destabilize a rival nation's infrastructure without firing a single bullet. Now, let me be clear. No official U.S. source has confirmed any of these man-made theories, but in 2025, we've probably seen enough to know that you can't rule out the possibility that somebody somewhere is playing a game at the geological level. And this is why I want to hear from you guys in the comments before this video is over. Is this just the Earth doing what the Earth does? Or is this like a human hand on the fault line? And let me know if you felt any tremors, guys. I'm not putting it past anything. The weather app this year, I don't know about you guys. I don't know what weather app you use, but the weather has been so unpredictable. Sometimes it says it's going to be sunny today, and next thing you know, I look out, it's like a torrential downpour. Or it says it's going to rain all day and it's sunny all day. I'm like, I've never seen the weather apps so inaccurate as I have seen this year. So let me know what you guys are saying. Now, while we've been focused on Alaska, I want to share something that you just cannot ignore. The Earth isn't just restless here, it's actually restless everywhere. So in the last few months, it kind of feels like the planet has been twitching. In Russia, right after the monster 8.8 quake, the largest ever recorded, a parade of volcanoes mysteriously just started erupting in the Far East, 6 at once, with a 7th showing signs it's about to go too. Over in Hawaii, sent a 300-foot lava fountain into the sky during its 30th eruption in less than a year. And then a little bit closer to home, the San Andreas Fault in California has been trembling. New Jersey, New York, not exactly known for big quakes. They both had seismic events this year. Guys, the Caribbean's been hit too, with Haiti and the Dominican Republic both rattled in recent weeks. So when you look at this pattern, you got to ask, is this just the Earth releasing pressure naturally, or is this a chain reaction? Because the science is clear. One massive shift in the crust can redistribute stress and set off other fault lines, even if they're thousands of miles away. And if this is what's happening right now, the Alaska quake could be just one domino in a much bigger row, guys. But here's what really keeps me up at night. If any of these quakes are being pushed or nudged or timed by human hands, then we're not looking at a geological event. We're actually looking at a form of warfare that most people don't even realize exists. And speaking of warfare, it is time that we shift from the ground rumbling under our feet to the ground shaking in Moscow, guys, because while the USGS was tracking seismic waves in Alaska, Ukrainian intelligence, they're tracking a completely different kind of target. I'm talking about Putin's most feared assassination team. So in the next couple of minutes, I'm going to tell you guys exactly who these operatives were, what they've done, and why their sudden removal has Putin's inner circle panicking. And more importantly, how this hit could shift the balance of the war in the Ukraine. Trust me, guys, you're going to want to hear details on this one because they're not talking about this on mainstream media, CNN, MSNBC. So while Alaska's Mount Spurr was rumbling, another kind of eruption was happening, not in the earth, but in Moscow's underground power structure. So Ukrainian intelligence, the SBU, just confirmed they've completely eliminated members of Putin's most feared assassination unit. These were the operatives that were trained for one mission: to hunt and kill Ukraine's most valuable people, politicians, military leaders, intelligence officers. The parallels to Colonel Ivan Voronic's assassination in Kyiv, they're kind of hard to ignore. I mean, remember, Voronic wasn't just an officer. He was a decorated SBU colonel who had orchestrated daring operations against pro-Russian forces since 2015. His daylight execution in the heart of Kyiv, this was meant to humiliate the Ukraine, okay? To send a message that Moscow could reach anyone, anywhere. This week's operation was the answer to that message. According to sources inside the SBU, the Ukrainian team tracked these assassins with precision. They weren't captured. They weren't allowed to slip away. They were taken out in a clean, coordinated strike. No Ukrainian casualties. Here's why this is a bigger issue than just revenge. These were not replaceable foot soldiers. These were specialists with years of infiltration experience, deep knowledge of Ukrainian networks, and the confidence to operate inside of Ukraine's borders. Removing these people, removing them is kind of like yanking the teeth out of a predator. Suddenly the bite's gone, if you know what I mean. And so if you think that Putin is just going to go ahead and shrug this off, think again. The Kremlin is already scrambling to try to reshuffle intelligence assets, which really slows their operational tempo, and it kind of forces them to divert resources just to protect their own agents at this point. Now, this is not a one-off. What we're seeing here, guys, this is a deliberate doctrine from Kyiv. Every high-profile loss or civilian massacre, it gets an answer, a direct one. I mean, just look back over the past year. Igor Kirillov, Russia's head of nuclear biological and chemical defense, killed by a scooter bomb in Moscow after Ukraine linked him to more than 50 chemical attacks in 2024. Mika Shatsky, he's the deputy chief designer of cruise missiles and drones used to strike on Ukrainian cities, gunned down in Moscow Park, slowing missile production. Lieutenant General Valery Soloduk, he's the commander of Russia's 41st Combined Arms Army. He was eliminated in a precision Storm Shadow missile strike on a very heavily fortified bunker in Kursk, killing 18 other officers in the same hit. So the message has been rather consistent and unmistakable. No one is beyond reach, not generals, not scientists, not traitors. Every time Ukraine executes one of their operations, it's not just taking out a single person. It's actually about shifting the psychology of the war. It makes every Russian officer, scientist, and collaborator look over their shoulder and wonder who's watching, and then think twice before following orders that target Ukrainian civilians. And this latest strike on Putin's assassination team fits perfectly into this pattern. It tells Russia's intelligence community, try to take out our people and we'll come after the hunters themselves. So in a moment, I want to go ahead and connect these two threads, the Alaska earthquake, the looming volcano, and Ukraine's ruthless retaliation campaign to one shared reality. There are no more safe zones. They're gone. Okay. So whether it's nature tearing through the crust on the earth or enemies hitting far from behind enemy lines, the rules of the game have clearly changed. So let's step back just for a moment and let's look at these two stories side by side. So in Alaska, we got a 4.6 Richter scale earthquake rattling a volcano that hasn't had a major eruption since 1992, but it's now showing signs that it could blow again. That's a direct threat to U.S. soil, American families, and critical infrastructure as well. In Russia, Putin's elite assassination team, the kind of operatives who work in the shadows and they think that they're untouchable, they're suddenly gone, taken out in a precision operation deep behind enemy lines. So what's the common denominator here, guys? The old rules, the rules that say disasters happen somewhere else, wars are fought somewhere else, danger stays over there. Those rules are gone. For Americans, it's a wake-up call that nature doesn't respect borders. An eruption in Alaska could ground flights, disrupt supply chains, and coat entire regions in ash in a matter of hours. For Russia, it's a reminder that the battlefield isn't just in Ukraine anymore. Moscow streets, fortified bunkers, even the people that are closest to Putin himself, none of them are off limits. So whether it's a volcano waking up under our own feet or an enemy that's striking from, half a world away, one thing is clear, the era of safe zones is over. So now here's where leadership really matters. President Donald J. Trump and his administration, they're not sitting on their hands while these crises unfold. So on the Alaska front, FEMA, the USGS, and the Alaska Volcano Observatory, they're already in close coordination. Contingency plans for rapid evacuation, emergency air filtration, and supply chains rerouting and reroutes are on the table. So Trump's made it clear, American lives come first, and we'll act before, not after the disaster hits. So on the international stage, the Trump administration is maintaining strong intelligence ties with Ukraine. Publicly, the U.S. is reaffirming Ukraine's right to self-defense against Russian aggression. Now, privately, American intelligence assets are working to help Ukraine identify and neutralize the very threats that Putin's kill teams represent. And so there's another layer to this. Trump's team is watching. They're watching for any sign that America's adversaries might try to exploit a natural disaster in order to hit us while we're distracted. Diplomatic and military leverage, they're already in motion in order to keep that from happening. So in short, the response here is strategic, it's patriotic, it's proactive, exactly what you want when the ground is shaking both here at home and abroad. Now, we've already connected the dots between a volcano on the brink and a kill team taken out. But before I wrap this up, guys, I want to kind of put the question directly to you, because this is really where the debate gets real. Is this just the raw power of nature at work, or is there a human hand pushing these dominoes over? Here's where I want to go ahead and hand it over to you. We got a U.S. volcano that could blow any moment after a 4.6 earthquake shook it awake, and we've got one of Putin's most dangerous assassination teams completely wiped out in a strike that could be remembered for years. Now, both events, they happen in the same moment in history. Both are shaking the stability of the world in their own way. Which one should really scare you more? Is it nature's raw power, unpredictable and unstoppable once it's set in motion? Or is it the silent hand of man manipulating events behind the scenes, whether through political assassination, covert ops, or even these engineered natural disasters? Well, I want you to think about that, because these two stories really kind of force us to face the same truth. Instability is clearly spreading, and the line between natural disaster and man-made crisis is getting thinner and thinner every single day. So here's the bottom line, and I'm going to say it bluntly here. So on the one side, you got Alaska's Mount Spurr, potentially days, maybe even hours from an eruption that could shut down air travel, damage infrastructure, and impact millions. On the other side, you got Ukraine striking deep into Moscow's power structure, eliminating operatives who thought that they could terrorize with impunity. This is a move that sends shockwaves through Putin's inner circle and changes the game in this war. Now, both stories, they're showing us that in 2025, there is no such thing as far away anymore. Disasters, conflict, they reach us faster, harder, and closer than you think. So now it's your turn, guys. Drop a 1 if you believe that this is pure nature at work. Drop a 2 if you think it's a divine warning. Drop a 3 if you believe someone engineered this. Drop a 4 if you think it's all connected in ways that we haven't even been told yet. Now, if you got value out of hearing all of this full story without the spin, hit the like button so that more people see it, subscribe so that you don't miss the next update. Make sure to share this video so that your friends can kind of weigh in on what they think is really going on. Now, before you go, YouTube thinks you're really going to enjoy the next video that just popped up, and it's being suggested to you right now. So they picked it because it completely connects perfectly with what we've been talking about here. So click that video and I'll meet you over there so that we can keep this conversation going.